The vision that I saw was a river that was coming forth, and on each side of the river was forest. And then out in front of that was this really bright white light. And a couple things took place here. One was the bright white light sort of opened up into this huge space, and a golden door opened and released a lot of things. A lot of things were released from this heavenly place. And this is the part that I was unable to see fully. I saw one thing in particular there, but a lot was going on there. There's a lot that was meant to be seen there. But before I share the one thing I saw, what happened next was out of this, I'm assuming it's another realm, because it basically appeared, just sort of split and appeared. And this took place, so if you can see this river coming forward, these trees on the side, in the back is this bright light with this heavenly things going on. This took place sort of in the air right over the river. It sort of split open, and out of the split came first a turtle. It was a baby turtle. Then a bunch of baby, I believe they were those birds that scavenge on dead bones or on dead carcasses. Vultures, baby vultures. And then the third was a snake. And it came out in that order. And then, but there were a lot of those baby vultures, almost like newborn in a sense, like some were pinkish and some had their feathers, but they were really tiny. And they just kind of came forth away from the light, and they headed the other way down the river. And if you turn and face that way, it went down into this like circular vortexy type of waterfall. So that's what happened. They went that way. I didn't see where they went. I just know they went in that direction. But one of the things that was taking place in that heavenly realm part was there was a man there, and he was standing, and he was wearing either a priest's outfit or a Pharisee's outfit. I'm not quite sure what it was, but a dove flew over holding a blue piece of cloth that was probably 2 to 3 feet, about 3 feet. And the dove flew over, and he dropped this piece of cloth into the man's hands, and his hands were sort of laid out flat like this. And he caught it in his hands. And then when he looked at it, he began to use it to wipe off this outfit that he had on. It came right off, sort of peeled right off when he was wiping with this cloth, wiped it completely off. And underneath he was wearing all white ground, and he stepped out of it. And it's armor, but they were stepping strategically and purposefully into certain feet prints. And then I can see in front of him that I believe it was Jesus that was there, but Jesus was facing him, and almost like like you would lead a child, like with his hands out and walking backwards so that this person could see each step he was supposed to take into the steps of Jesus, so that would be purposed. And so that part was the end of that vision as a whole. And then I saw 2 separate smaller things. The first one I saw was a man, and this was very real. This was like actual, like I was watching a movie or I was physically there. This was a very real man. And this, let me see if I can describe this. This man was laying in the ground, and it had been winter time. So the whole area was covered in snow, but the season, I think, was changing, and everything began to thaw. And he had been under the snow, almost like preserved or something. And he was laying there, and he was sort of reminding me of an Eskimo a little bit. He had like winter thick, like leather and like fur inside this outfit. And he was laying on his back, and he was sort of dirty from the elements, but he was laying on his back, and the earth began to thaw a little bit around him. And you can see from this pine tree, as the earth begins to fall, the water drips into his eyes, and he sort of just blinks. It's not disturbing him. It's not doing anything but dripping into his eye. And sort of it begins to thaw from his face and sort of to his chest. So that area begins to thaw. And that was the one, that's what I saw there. And then the other vision, this is a little confusing, was a giant peacock's tail. The male of the species is beautiful. The woman, not so much, but the male of the species, I know he has this huge feathered out tail. And I saw his tail, and it was just this huge, I mean, it was the biggest, largest amount of tail feather I've ever seen, but it was in one clump. It wasn't spread out. It was just put together in sort of like this straight. But there was this one part of this tail feather was different colored. And it looked black and white at first. And I thought it was just like this maybe sometimes on people's hair, there's a part of their hair that grows in white. I don't know what that is, like a stigma, I don't know, something. Anyway, I thought it was just like a different color of this tail. But it ends up that this portion was actually butterflies. It was different altogether. So it came up off of it in any way, and it kind of fluttered off. But originally it looked like part of it, just a different color, and then it kind of came off of it and fluttered off. And that was the end.
Well, there's a lot to talk about because the region is pretty long. I think the first river or forest there, actually it's not necessarily heavenly realm, but the humanity, earth, so I think it represents Christianity. So I want to give some interpretations. Okay, so, and then they said that there's a bright light, go to open doors. Then some splitting the air over the river came out different. Evidently, the creatures that is in the Old Testament are representing things that considered unclean animals, right? Reptiles, stuff like that. So, and I think those represent the demonic spirits. So, in a sense, you can see there are different realms in the operation concerning God's work over His people in general. They're overall a forest, but in the days to come, we see there are two sources. One source is demonic release of things. The other source actually is a hidden, but it's open heaven. The man wearing the priest is in it, so he's receiving a cloth of blue, I believe, and then why would we become an armor? That is a vision. So I believe that is the realm of a sonship, where the cloth representing purity, also the endowment. Actually, God gives the songs to represent Him in the heavenly realm. This is more than spiritual, but in the heavenly realm. So blue represents the angelic realm. Basically, I believe what God wants to do is enable the sons to overcome the evil force in the heavenly realm. So we can see there are demonic realm, earthly realm, God's people, then the result, His work in the hidden place, in the glorified place for sons, endowment. I think that's pretty much speaking about what He's doing actually right now with the hidden away song company. Second vision, I don't be rushing, and brief with it. The second vision was about this real man. This man is actually the song company, in my assessment. That is, it's basically come asleep, come dormant, So when the season and the sword, the spiritual endowment of gods on the face of the earth and changed, I think as a song going to come to light and get out the dust, So anyway, they're gonna walk and become what they need to be. I think representing us. I have been facing it personally, thinking there's a time of hibernation, a time of wake up. So that's actually is a mark this season, the big transition, a release, if you will. The Peacock is a very interesting character because I have some experiences and seeing something. The other day I was talking about the peacock. Peacock is to do with the part that is fluffy out. We call the corona. So that's some experience I had. I can't get into the details, but literally talking about the corona is a crowning of glory. A crowning of a sonship glory. Now that's very hard to explain unless you understand. Last year, the wires is called a chrono wires. Is happening a certain way. It's very interesting, prophetic speaking, actually speaking about while the world is afflicted by this virus, getting to fear and almost destruction even, so shutting down per se. But actually God in the hidden place is making the sons being glorified, being worked to their maturity and prepare them for the coming days of release, so the white color and the butterfly, I think the butterfly representing, freedom and the beautiful certain spirit. I mean, white. I don't exactly know what I'm representing. So, but personally speaking, I have the white part on my hair. So when you talk about it, mention that, I was thinking about, oh, that's interesting. You just mention details privately. Can only known to me, so I just want to share that with you.